Okay, so let's move on to the next of the open source software which we're going to look at. This one is Tablebases. Not really software per se, but obviously the Tablebases are endgame Tablebases which contain the solution to endgames of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 pieces. Now, there are two main uses you might want to look at Tablebases for. One of them is if you add them to your engine, then there's a de minimis improvement in performance nowadays, actually, but it's certainly something you can do, and at least you'll know towards the end of the game, what the actual technical solution is. And the other reason I find very useful is when you're looking at endgames, when you're studying endgames, then you can actually use them to sort of help you work out, are positions a draw or not, and then do some sort of more detailed analysis, so sort of help with your training. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to, as before, let me just switch over to this page here. We're going to go on to the VirtualBox and download the Tablebase generating software. Right now, you can download them anyway from LeadChess and people like that. But we'll just go through the process and see if you wanted to generate your own, then how it's done, right? Just to get a better understanding of it, right? So I've already fired up Chessnix. Remember it from before. You just log in. Okay. And get up a command shell. So here we are. Now, what directory are we in? We're in that directory. So let's go into chess subdirectory, which I think where we're putting everything. We've got Stockfish and Skid versus PC in there. So what we want to do is we'll just make another directory where we're going to put it mkdir, and we're going to call this syz Syzygy, right? Which is the Tablebases we're downloading. There have been other ones, Nalimov and so on before, but the Syzygy ones are the ones mostly used because the file sizes are much more manageable, relatively speaking. They can still be quite large. So what we're going to do is we are going to use Git, which we've used before, to clone the software, syz, https. You can see it up there on the other page, right? github.com/syzygy1/tb. Let's see how that goes. Cloning into TB. Okay. I don't think these files are particularly large. Just let that run and download. And when we've compiled it, or when we've downloaded, we'll be able to try and compile it. I'll just go through the few steps which actually happened to me, so you sort of see the way you work your way through issues like this. And now we go ls, and you can see it's all in the TB subdirectory. And actually, we want to go into source, which is where the actual file is, right? And you can see there's make file. So we'll just try and run make and see what happens. It'll come back with something. Okay, fatal error, doesn't have this zstd.h, which I think is the compression algorithm he's using, which is pretty important. So I'd forgotten to do the second step. So let's do this now. You've got to also install the development tools. Sudo apt install lib std dev. So let's have a look if that works. Now we can try and make. It's building it. Number of errors, but not the warnings. Warnings rather than errors. So if we have a look at it now, we should actually have the those green RTP Gen P for pawn ones, Gen route pawn. So you can see there's a few programs there which are used for generating the Tablebases. Now have a look at this directory. There's nothing in there. And the key here is this file run.pl. Let's edit that. It's a script, not the best script in the world. Let's just try and make the 3-piece Tablebases. Let's have a look at that. So we'll go minimax. Okay, I forgot one more step here. What we need to do is you'd be running programs in the same directory, so we had to run this line to add the dot is the current directory, same in Windows. Add the current directory to the run path, And then now what you do, so let's have a look. So there's nothing in the directory, and we do this run pl generate. Oh, very quick. And you can see now that we've got these files here. This is all three-piece Tablebases. King and knight versus king. This is whether it's win or loss, I believe. And this is the sort of the depth to zeros. So it needs both files. One file will tell you if it's a win or a loss, and the other file will help it chase the moves required. So you can see there is all the two-piece Tablebases. Obviously, the king pawn one is probably quite interesting, and this would have like king rook and king queen, different sort of mates from those positions. Okay, now let's just sort of so we can play around with a little bit. We'll go back into run.pl, and now we'll go up to 4. That 4. And we'll also, let's get a few more threads. I don't know how many threads I gave this box, but let's see if we've got 8 threads. And now just run generate again. That whizzes by, generating the 4-man table base. If I remember correctly, it takes just maybe one or 2 minutes to do this, and then you get all 4-piece ones, which still quite limited in its usefulness. And I think it steps up in terms of the time to calculate and in terms of the size of the files. But I think the 5-piece table base, which I've run myself, takes maybe 2 hours. Obviously, it depends how much processing power you have. And then 6 pieces, and then 7 pieces. Obviously goes up and up and up. Just to show you what you can do, right? You can actually run them yourself and put them on SSD. And that's probably the best way you can take it around and use it on whichever computer you want. Obviously, that's not as fast as an internal SSD, but that's something to think about. And then, okay, there we go. So if we'll just list this directory now, and you can see there's all the 4-piece Tablebases. What you might end up doing in the end is if you really want to use them locally, the 6-piece Tablebases you can download. It's about a terabyte or so, or half terabyte, so that's doable. And the 7-piece Tablebase, well, Lichess has all these, and it has an API access to it, so that's probably the way you'd be using 7 pieces. Okay, so couple of glitches there, but let's say you now have Tablebases and you want to use them. So what I'm going to do now is going to get back to sort of my production one, for lack of a better term. So capture over here. Okay, so what we've got here is Skid versus PC. I'll just show you quickly. You go Tools. Oh, that's the OBS. I actually have to go to it. 1 second. It'll be this one. Okay. So Tools, Analysis Engines, and you look at Stockfish, and you go into Settings, and you can see this is where you put it. So that's where the home directory is. You put the Tablebase files in there, and it will use them. Right. In fact, I can just sort of close that. We can show it's being used. I'll just put start the engine, and you can see you've got Tablebase hits in this position, right? So it's what it's saying is it's not just that. Even if it was, how many pieces is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6-piece Tablebase. Even if you had the 6-piece Tablebase on board, as part of the analysis, it would hit 5-piece Tablebases as pieces got as change and so on, right? So you link it in, and now your engine's using it, right? Which is good. I'll just close. No, I don't need to close that. Just stop it running. And the other way of using it, I just got a script here which I run. I'll just give you an idea of what it is. Maybe it's. I use Python chess here, which I'll explain in another video. And what I do here is I pass a fen in. And Python chess then calls the sort of, it probes the Tablebases. And what I did here is I looped around and said, okay, if you have a pawn on e4, what are the key squares, right? If your king was on a certain point, and if you're from White's perspective, you can see this runs pretty quickly. From White's perspective, as long as the black king's in front of you, I've made that restriction, right? As long as the black king's sort of in front of you or beside you, what squares do you want to win the game? And you can see this basically, this is a well-known thing. With a pawn on the 4th rank, you need to be the second row in front to be able to force a win, right? And you can use, obviously we've all got our chess books which shows that, but the Tablebases can be used. You probe the Tablebases, and obviously this is a simple one, but you can put more complicated positions in, and the Tablebases can do the hard work for you for working out the key squares. I mean, this is something I'm going to use, or have been using in sort of other sort of analysis for key squares and critical squares, and I'll go into that once again in another video. Okay, so I hope that just sort of give you a bit of a tour of the way you can generate your own table bases. As I said, at the end of the day, you probably end up be downloading them or using them from Lichess or something, but it's just good to understand how they're made and what they're used for. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.